There are calls for a total overhaul of the football system in Ghana. We hear the views of former sports ministers Nyaho Tamaklo and Neil and Van der Poel on this matter. And then our big conversation with chairman of the Ghana League Clubs Association, Kuje Fianoo. Right now, I have Jeremy Autry in the studio, and I also have former sports minister Mama Yarga on the phone. They're all joining this conversation. Good afternoon to you, Honorable Mama Yarga. You're welcome on the polls.
Good afternoon.
And good afternoon to you, Kujo Fianoo. You're joining us via Skype.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me. Hi to Honorable Ayariga.
All right, so it's set for a beautiful conversation. Let me start with you, Honorable, and I would like to find out from you, what's your impression about the GFA after watching the video?
I have not watched the video yet. Yesterday was so crowded, and I decided that I will wait for other opportunities to watch the video. But I have heard extensively the discussion of the content of the video, so I would say that I'm reasonably aware of the content of the video. So if all that is discussed is anything to go by, then of course there are very interesting issues that arise. There are the issues that do not directly border on sports administration, such as the engagement between Mr. Chi and then the so-called investor, and the discussions about business and procuring contracts and etc. Those are strictly not matters relating to sports administration or football administration. The areas that relate to football administration, of course, has to do with the effort to establish an agency that appears to short-circuit or sidestep the GFA itself and engage private agents so that some of the money could go to the private agents. And the fact that from the reports that I have heard being discussed on radio, he and the G himself or whatever has an interest in that agency that seems to be a mechanism for funneling money to a private person and depriving GFA, the Black Stars, of the funds. So those are matters that, in my opinion, relate to sports administration. So we need to separate the two and treat them separately. And then the bigger issues that have to do with all the other referees and sports administrators who were caught on tape one after the other in different settings, engage in acts of malfeasance of different natures, depending on what it is that they were doing. So all that, in my opinion, I mean, it's very serious issues about football administration and perhaps also sports administration, because we've seen that for football, but we don't know what is happening in the other, sporting disciplines. Because of Ghana's interest in football and our extensive patronage of football, this is clearly the one that immediately catches public attention. But I think that it is very troubling, it is worrying, it is bad. It calls for a wider discussion of the matter, and today Parliament took a decision that we should set up a committee to inquire into all these issues so that we can have a bigger picture of the situation, and then we can see if there are measures we need legislation to deal with and to enact legislation to deal with those ones. And then if there are administrative matters that we need to make recommendations. As a former minister for youth and sport, I recall my days at the ministry and my own interactions with the GFA. Basically, not being a football person, I did not go to the ministry with an in-depth knowledge of the GFA as an organization. And my own, approach to the matter was to respect the line that should exist between the GFA and the ministry, which is that the GFA being an association of football organizations and teams and etc. and all that. I mean, I would respect that space, that look, this is an association. But then, because they also oversaw national teams, and because the state was supporting those national teams, to that extent, I was interested in their work. And so I worked with them, and I related to them, and I saw their activities firsthand. And what we have seen clearly concerns us, and so I can understand the public interest.
All right, Honorable, I'll find out from you whether you were convinced with their dealings and whether this video confirms or denies what you felt about the FA. But let me bring in Kujo Fianoo into this conversation. I'd like to put the same question to you, Mr. Fianoo. How do you feel after watching this video?
Thank you very much. I had the privilege of watching the video, the first edition at 3 o'clock at the International Conference Center. And as I sat through the close to 2 hours video, I was asking myself as to whether these things were happening from outside Ghana, but there were faces that I knew very well. And when it dawned on me that this thing was happening in Ghana, I felt ashamed of myself. And in short, I could only say that the industry had been bastardized by what I saw yesterday, ranging from match officials, referees, match commissioners, the referees committee, the body that appoints referees each week, in, out, appointing referees, match commissioners, club administrators, and it was a complete coverage of scope of the industry of football. And the way I saw it being bastardized, I felt so sad as I sat through.
Well, we're looking at restructuring the Ghana Football Association. At least those are some calls coming from people who know much about football. What's your view on this?
My view is that we need to hasten slowly. It is a very sad spectacle if you really watch the video. And I think that this should be the turning point in the development of the game of football. As the chairman of the Ghana League Club Association, a major stakeholder in the game, we will want to call for cool heads for now, because as I speak to you, we are receiving requests from individual clubs asking the executive committee members to resign. We will want to take a collective decision. By Monday, 4 o'clock, we'll be calling all the major stakeholders to a meeting where we'll use the statutes and regulations of the federation to make sure that we get things done and done right. Those who have to leave, we have to see them off and ensure that we make sure that Ghana football is restructured in a way to regain the confidence of those who enjoy our end product, that's the spectators, that are Ghanaians, so that we could rebuild their confidence in our national teams to be able to watch their games and make sure that we have some credibility left in the game. Because I cannot keep my last 10 cedis, go to the stadium on Sunday, hoping that my favorite team will win, only for one individual or a group of people to tend the fortunes of the team. And these are some of the things FIFA frowns on seriously. So I will want us to make sure that we take timely decisions and make steps so that FIFA will not clamp on us, because some of these things are in direct opposite of FIFA's catchphrase, fair play. If people will be able to win matches, that is not fair. So we think that as quickly as possible, as the connoisseurs of the game, we should meet by Monday, take decisions. Those who ask to step aside, we need to do that through Congress. And those who will be found culpable will be made to face the law.
Well, the GFA itself has issued a statement about this whole scandal. One of the things it's saying is that to be fair, a video must be made available for the GFA to watch, and whatever they will do with it, we don't know yet. But I'm sure, Jeremy, you're also wondering about the image of Ghana football, especially on the international front. How do we salvage our image?
I think I share the position of the Ghana chairman. I mean, because you see, if we rush, we may make mistakes. The objective is to correct or clean a rotten system. But if we don't take our time, we might make mistakes, which eventually may also cost us. I share the position of Mr. Fianoo that we should be slow to getting things done. I am, however, happy with the fact that GACA is receiving calls and letters from clubs, individual clubs, saying that executive committee members captured in the video should resign. If on their own volition, they will not step out, I think that pressure should be brought to bear on them for them to step up. Because you see, you have 22 people on a committee, and 3-4 of them, are the type that you can compromise. As low as 300 cedis. It's not even up to $100. And if these are the kind of people running football in Ghana, certainly they have no business being there.
It's interesting. Honorable, I'm sure I still have you on the line, Mama Yarga. You are former Minister of Sports, and of course, from the analysis you gave earlier, it shows that you yourself had some doubts about the FA. Watching this video, okay, you said you've not watched, I'm sure you're yet to watch, but all the things you've heard from this video and the revelations, the damning revelations, does it confirm or deny how you felt about the FA then when you were Minister?
Well, clearly, if you recall, this is not the first time really that there's been some indication that there's quite a crisis within the football subsector. When they went to Brazil and then they came back, we set up a committee of inquiry, if you remember, and the hearings of the committee revealed quite a lot, and so we had quite some opportunity to sense that there was a problem within the administration of football generally, because that committee didn't just restrict itself to activities and incidents in Brazil. It went beyond that. So this one, in a sense, confirms, but in a more shocking way, the indications that we got from the committee that looked at the Brazil situation. And I also, dabbled in football quite innocently. And within one season, my team went into relegation. And I'm beginning to understand why we were losing all our matches, because I didn't realize I had to be paying all those money.
So bringing in the matches, there are suggestions that the Ghana League should be suspended immediately. What's your take on this?
Well, it is an association, and I've always said that let's never forget the fact that this is an association. People have come together to form an association. And so I think members of the association should immediately meet and review the situation and take urgent measures to begin to rebuild confidence in the association and the management of football. And if they meet and the cancellation or whatever is one of the recommendations that they come up with as something that they need to do, I will support them. But there's no doubt that the association must meet urgently to the situation and begin to work to build confidence among Ghanaians, and not Ghanaians, but the international community, because this clearly does a terrible blow to the image of football in Ghana. And given Ghana's reputation in the international community as a soccer nation, something like this really will go far in terms of, coverage. And people will see, people will hear. BBC is part of it. And so the whole world will hear almost immediately, and our reputation will suffer. And so there's a lot of work that needs to be done by everybody to rebuild the image of this country and of football. And the association should be the one with the primary interest to initiate the process, and all of us will support the process.
Definitely, there is an image to redeem here, and all of us are part of it's a collective responsibility. So I'm going to be coming to you, Kojo Fianoo, to find out exactly what reforms we need, short, medium, and long-term measures we need to redeem our image immediately and ensure that the rot is cleansed, the GFA is cleansed of this rot. And then I'll be looking out for how our fans, the fan base over there are feeling about this whole thing. Are they losing hope? Are they abandoning football after this expose? But let me get to the premises of the Ghana Football Association, where my colleague Komla Adom is stationed to bring us updates on what's happening there. Good afternoon to you, Komla. Paint a picture of what is happening at the GFA right now. All right, so I'm told we lost Kobla on the phone. He will join us very shortly. So let me come to you, Kojo Fianoo, and ask you exactly what reforms do you think we need for the Ghana Football Association?
Yeah, what we need to do, and I want to say that I cannot agree more with Honorable Ayaga, but to say that we've practiced this particular law from 2005 till date, 13 years. With one person at the helm of affairs. Definitely, we've seen the end results. There is this saying that power corrupts, but absolute power corrupts absolutely. And we think that we vested too much power into the hands of the presidency of the association. So we need to look at our statutes and regulations to ensure that there will be those checks and balances in our system, because the laws and the rules are clear. For instance, FIFA will tell you that even after performing a duty, however good you've performed, you are not supposed to receive any gift at the end of it. And here you are, officials, administrators, whatever, collecting monies with careless abandon. And I think that we should, as quickly as possible, as I've said, we have given ourselves up to Monday to meet with the major stakeholders in the industry to ensure that we quickly put together a Congress, the highest decision-making body of the association, where we need to put a body in place as quickly as possible, because, as we rightly said, now the emergency committee that is supposed to take the day-to-day decisions of the FA cannot form a quorum as to what we have now. They have no vice president, so in the absence of the president, there will be nobody to act. Two members of that emergency committee, that's the president and Mr. Edidoku, were captured on the video. So if they were going to step aside, we'll be having only two members left, Mr. Kweku Eyia and Mr. Nanabenyin Eyisen. With even Nanabenyin Eyisen, he just came out of a suspension by FIFA. So by extension, he will not have that leverage to work. So we are having, let's say, a maximum of two. They cannot form a quorum. So the emergency committee can also not operate. And out of the 22 executive committee members, we're having about 5 of them being indicted. It means that if Mr. Doku will set aside, it means that we are going to disenfranchise the entire Greater Accra region from football administration. The same will apply to Northern region. The same will apply to Eastern region. The same will apply to women football and other constituent bodies. So it means that we need to collapse the entire system as it is now and make sure that we start a gradual rebuilding, not losing the fact that we must be doing this at the time we engage in other competitions. If it is the wish of the entire or the majority of the members that we should even put our competition on hold, because it is a fact, as stated in the video, that some of our games were compromised. Even I want to go back to Italy, when Juventus, who had then won the league, were caught to have compromised on 1 or 2 games, they were demoted straight into Division 2. And they started from there, came back, now they are champions for over a period now. Here you are, clubs are punished. We have lived with a system where the Middle League produced results like 31 against 30, 23 against 22. And we think that this expose by Anas is giving us the opportunity to clean our house and make sure that we start on a clean slate.
So the people who are saying that Kwesi Nyantakyi must step down as a first step towards cleaning our house, GFA?
It's long overdue. It's long overdue. You should have done that immediately the video was shown yesterday. I wouldn't want to move into the political arena where he engaged in other business. But if I want to limit myself to what he did to football, being an executive member of FIFA and the first vice president of CAF, where you know that some of the things that he did vis-a-vis the contract that he entered into, drafting the MOU himself, even on a CAF memo pad, got it typed and signed as the agent.
That's quite interesting.
A company there as the agent who are going to take. Why should GFA alone will sign contracts and it is always 20 and 25%? We've never come below 20 or 10 before. Why should it be so? And we have been complaining about this thing time and over again, to the extent that clubs were being classified as third parties, where clubs could not be classified as third parties because it is our product that are used in getting the sponsorship. Because you say the Premier League being played by Ash Gold, House of Folk, Kotoko, that warranted the sponsorship. So if clubs will ask for copies of the contracts and they be told that they are third parties, the video had now shown all of us the reasons why we are not being shown these contracts. So I think that we could say in another breath that the video came timely. It's a good omen for us to give us opportunity to clean our system and make sure that we put these things behind us.
All right, I'll get to Jeremy, and you have to hold on a second for me to get to know what the fans are saying. But let's go back to Komla Adom, who is on the premises of the Ghana Football Association. Komla, paint a picture of what exactly is happening at the GFA.
Well, Aisha, at the moment, it's been a controlled day here at the premises of the Ghana Football Association. When I say control, I mean it's been heavily regulated. Movement in and out of the FA offices or premises has been highly regulated. Accounted as many as 5 police officers in the premises, 2 of them at the entrance of the premises, together with the ordinary or the normal security detail of the association, who are usually stationed in front of the premises. And they would not allow any individual into the premises if those individuals do not have any business in the facility. So when we tried, getting in there to attempt to speak to officials of the FA, they would not allow us in. They told us that even the officials we are looking for are not in the office at the moment. So it's a highly controlled, atmosphere here at the Football Association premises, Aisha.
We know of a statement that has been issued from the Ghana Football Association demanding a copy of the video that Anas and his team put together. Do you have a sense that they've been presented with that video?
Well, I've been speaking to some sources within the association premises, and it appears that the statement that we got earlier today from the association doesn't represent the views of the entire body of the association. Some of the sources, they have been telling us that Mr. Isaac Addo, who even signed that statement, is not well placed to essentially sign or issue that statement in the first place. So it's a bit of a mixed, kind of reaction here at the association premises. Some of the individuals do not think the statement issued by Isaac Addo is the right thing to do at this moment, Aisha.
All right, many thanks to you. Komla Adom is my colleague, and he'll be bringing us more in our subsequent bulletin from the Ghana Football Association. Jerome, before I went to Komla, I wanted to find out from you what the football fans are saying about this whole expose.
The reaction has been one of disappointment. in one breath. And in another breath, there are those who also see the video as a confirmation of all the suspicions they've had. But if you put everything together, people have been angry. I mean, personally, I have been angry because you travel up and down covering football matches, writing, talking about it, and then you get a feeling that you want to do something to help the development of the game. But then the key actors behind the scenes are also working to bring it down. So reaction from people on the streets, even as you played, clearly points to disappointment. And that is why I'm surprised that that disappointment, that the weight of that disappointment is yet to fall on the Football Association, for them to feel that indeed people are not happy with what we've seen in the video, and then some action must be taken. I have said that if I was part of the executive committee members that were captured in the video, I would have resigned last night.
Do you agree with those who are calling for a complete overhaul of the GFA?
Yes, of course, because if you look at the rot, I mean, I wouldn't want to go into the aspect where the FA president talks about the president of the country. But I've been looking at leadership. If this is the kind of leadership we have, it goes to show that we cannot have a credible system. And I'll tell you this, if the FA president can form a company and take part of a sponsorship money that is coming to clubs, I mean, that is wrong. And I will not have the moral courage to come back and behave as if I really want the interest of the game if I were to be in his shoes. I believe that something needs to be done to clean the system. How it will be done, maybe we would have to go through due process, but at the end of the day, we should be interested in cleaning the system so that those outside will feel encouraged to come into the game. What, I mean, we have seen, which is going to be shown to the world anyway, definitely will have serious consequences on our game, and I do not see how we would come back if we are not committed to cleaning the system from this point.
All right, Honorable, if you are on the line, if I still have you there, do you think that the GFA should be resolved, dissolved? I beg your pardon. All right, I'm told I lost Honorable Mahama Yarga there. So I'll go back to you, Kujo Fianoo, and you were earlier making the point that you cannot form a quorum now. So what does that mean? Does it mean that, I mean, explain that to me.
Who happened to be a member of the 5 was dismissed. So they are left with 4. Out of the 4, we all saw the president himself on TV indulging in things that he felt would force him out of office if he will not leave voluntarily. The second person, Mr. Edidoku, who is currently in Iceland with the senior national team, was also captured. So if it happens that the 2 of them resign, in addition to the dismissed vice president, it means we have only 2. And I said earlier that even with the 2, we have an issue with one of them who just came out of suspension by FIFA. And we are saying that if we were running a truly accountable organization, that gentleman who was indicted by FIFA, he went on appeal and lost the appeal, should have been shown the door. He is there now with Lawyer Kukwueya, and the 2 of them cannot take any decision that will be binding on our members.
Having said that, would you agree with those who say the league should be suspended?
I am saying that that decision will be taken when we meet at Congress, because the Congress is the high decision-making body. If that is the feeling of our members, that the league has been bastardized, where results were compromised, why not? I believe that there was a time league were played and abridged for various reasons. If we meet and the decision is that the league has been bastardized and that it should be suspended and a new one started, all decisions will have to be taken by Congress, the high decision-making body of GF or the GFA.
All right. Many thanks to you, Kojo Fianoo. We're extremely grateful for your time this afternoon. Kojo Fianoo is chairman of GALCA. Jerome, you heard Kojo Fianoo who's saying that if that is the feeling of the people at that emergency meeting, then so be it. What do you think? Should the league be suspended?
I share his opinion. I mean, in as much as we want to clean the system, we cannot also just go in there and shut it off. I mean, people have put their money in. Some considerations will have to be made. And then, because we also want to be law-abiding, if Congress is the highest decision-making body of the FA, you would have to go to Congress and make those determinations. But I strongly feel that with the population of referees being compromised, even if we are coming back in July, as they have announced, it will be very difficult to get clean referees in the system. So a decision will have to be taken on that.
We're seeing people implicated in the video coming out to try and justify what we saw in the video. For you, do you think there's any hope? Is there anything left for the people who we saw in the video to salvage their image?
Perhaps they will have to go to court for the court to determine. And I mean, I am not a lawyer, I do not know law, but on the basis of what I saw, I think that they don't have any moral justification to offer us. Because there were two people in the video who rejected the bribes. I mean, those people could have taken it. They didn't take it because, as we heard in the video, that is not their lifestyle. That is not how they do their things. Right. Others took it and were even boasting. I mean, one referee, Safwa Dadi, was talking about the fact that he's been in this business for a long time. That's what he does. And in one of the videos to be shown later by BBC, I heard one of the referees, or I've heard one of the referees talk about the fact that it is done everywhere.
It's now become a norm.
So, yes, people may have maybe some legal avenues to exploit. I cannot tell that for sure. But on morality, if we are talking about whether or not what they did was right or wrong, I do not think that it was right, because Mr. Fianoo made that point clear, that FIFA even makes it clear that you cannot take gifts. And if you can't take gifts, bribery is out of the question.
Yeah.
So, well, if there are legal opportunities for them to look at and see how they can salvage their image, it's up to them to take it. But in the court of public opinion, they have been convicted. They have been convicted.
Thank you very much. Jerome Ochre is the former editor of Kotoko Express, official newspaper for Kotoko. Thank you so much for your time on the post. And I'd like to say thank you to Honorable Mama Yarga for joining in the conversation. We'll take a break.